Now, top story this hour. Russia has increased its offensive in eastern Ukraine. The war-torn nation's Donbas region is left bruised and battered, and its twin cities Donetsk and Luhansk bear the brunt of mounting Russian strikes. Now, the pro-Russian soldiers fired campaigning leaflets into the air which contained instructions asking Ukrainians to surrender. Moscow is attempting to seize the cities of Donetsk and Luhansk and trap Ukrainian forces in a pocket on the main eastern frontier. UK military intelligence too has reported that Russia has increased the intensity of its troops in country's eastern region. Russian forces launched offensives on towns with constant mortar bombardment, destroying several houses, killing civilians, turning the cities into a battlefield here. President Vladimir Zelensky's office says that Donetsk is under constant fire, while Luhansk regional governor said that 6 civilians were killed and at least 8 have been wounded. Amid raining missiles, citizens were evacuated through buses and trains here.
We left Advika because of the endless shelling of the city. For days they shelled us, every day for an hour and a half. In short, we did not sleep at all.
Now, for more on this, our correspondent Chris Jones is joining us live from Latvia. Thank you so much for joining us, Chris. What can you tell us about Russia's assault in eastern Ukraine so far?
Yeah, well, the assault in the east of Ukraine has really ramped up a notch. President Volodymyr Zelensky had warned that the war was about to get more bloody, and he says now that things are extremely difficult in the Donbas right now. As I say, Russia is increasing its pressure on cities in that eastern area of Ukraine. Cities like Izium, for example, have seen increased fighting, but also Severodonetsk, which seems to be one of Russia's main targets at the moment. That's seen constant bombardment. In fact, the mayor of the Luhansk region, Sergei Gadai, said that Russia has besieged the city of Severodonetsk, intentionally trying to destroy the city and engaging in a scorched earth approach. He also said, as we've heard over the past few hours, that multiple civilians have died as a result of constant around-the-clock shelling in the city. Now, Russia has always denied targeting civilians, but its defense ministry did say that it had successfully targeted areas in eastern Ukraine with artillery and with troops on the ground. We've also heard that it sent a Terminator tank. It doesn't have many of these, but its goal is really to achieve maximum impact in urban areas. So there has been a real increase in the number of troops in that area. Ukraine has managed to slow their progress. However, Russia is making very slow gains there.
Right. That being said, we also heard reports of some evacuations. What can you tell us about the evacuation process, if any?
Yeah, well, it's an extremely difficult situation. The people there in Severodonetsk, for example, a city that used to be populated by around 100,000, many have now left. There's around about 15,000 left in the city, we're led to believe. Now, there have been attempts to get people out across this area for the past 3 months, really, ever since the war began. Some have remained, as I just mentioned. But as I said earlier, Mayor Sergei Gadai said that Russia has really ramped up the assault in that area, and therefore it's basically become almost impossible for many of those civilians to get out. In fact, he said that instead of evacuating, that they should get underground. Now, many of these civilians have been trapped underground for months, really, without proper water and food supply. So things really are not great for those civilians in that area, but there will be some efforts to really get them out as soon as possible.
All right. Right, Chris. Now, also Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said that he was willing only to talk to Russian President Vladimir Putin directly. Now, what can we expect going forward?
Yeah, he did say that he would speak to Vladimir Putin directly, but there is really very little hope for any resolution anytime soon, it seems. We've heard that the two sides have been locked in negotiations ever since this war really began. Neither side have been able to come up with any solution. In fact, both have blamed each other for talks breaking down. This is a mere glimmer of hope, I suppose, if Zelensky can speak to Putin one-on-one, and many of the civilians in cities like Severodonetsk will be desperate for a resolution to this conflict.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us with all the updates on this. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.